Hey friends, welcome back to Interesting Chinese Culture. Right now, people all over the world are watching the World Cup at the same time. Billions of viewers are sitting in front of their screens. Once the whistle of the World Cup blows, the whole world seems to fall into the same rhythm for a while. Some people stay up late to watch the matches, some study formations, some are only waiting for the penalty shootout, and some watch the smooth teamwork of the strongest teams while quietly wondering when their own national team will finally let them prove their love without raising their blood pressure. Today, we are going to talk about the traces of soccer in Chinese history. Here is the slightly awkward part. Soccer as a sport originally came from China, but at the World Cup, you can barely see any trace of the Chinese team. At this point, some of you may already be rolling your eyes and nodding, saying, right, everything comes from China. But hold on, do not start arguing just yet. The idea that soccer originated in China is officially recognized. Many people have a misunderstanding about soccer. They think this globally popular sport was fully born in modern Britain and belongs only to European sports culture. But in 2004, after reviewing historical records and archaeological evidence, FIFA publicly reached an official conclusion. The world's earliest known foot-kicking ball game with complete written records, a standardized field, a set of competition rules, and wide public participation was born more than 2,300 years ago in Linzi, Shandong, China. Ancient Chinese people called this sport tuju. Let's start with the name. Tuju is actually very direct. Ku means to kick with the foot, and ju generally refers to a leather ball. So the simplest meaning of tuju is kicking a ball. For English-speaking listeners, this is very easy to understand because it is almost the same as kickball. Today, when we say soccer, the core action is still the same, controlling a ball with the feet. But ancient tuju took different forms in different dynasties. Some versions were more competitive, some were more about performance, some were entertainment, some were connected with ritual, manners, and social life. It was not a modern sport with fixed rules from beginning to end. It was more like a broad category of ancient ball games centered on kicking a ball with the feet. In this episode, we will follow the timeline of Chinese dynasties and talk about this ancient sport that originated in China, but was later played with great success by foreign friends, Cuju. The earliest origin legend of Cuju comes from ancient texts organized by the Western Han scholar Liu Xiang. These texts record that during the time of the ancient tribal leader known as the Yellow Emperor, around 2700 BC to 2500 BC, activities related to Cuju had already appeared. Silk manuscripts unearthed from the Mawangdui Han tombs in Changsha add more details to this legend. According to that version, after the Yellow Emperor defeated Qiyu, he took Qiyu's stomach, filled it with hair, and made it into a ball for soldiers to kick for amusement. Of course, this story belongs to ancient mythological narration, but this text still shows that within Chinese civilization, the idea of kicking a leather ball had already existed more than 4,000 years ago. It is one of the earliest written imaginations of a ball game left by an ancient civilization anywhere in the world. If we really want to trace it back to a historically supported origin, with both written sources and archaeological evidence, then the starting point of Cuju is the Spring and Autumn and Warring States period. Its core birthplace was Linzi, the capital of the state of Qi, which is today's Linzi district in Zibo, Shandong province. Those of you who listened to our previous stories from the Chronicles of the Eastern Zhou Kingdoms should know that during the Spring and Autumn and Warring States period, the country was divided and extremely unstable. The Central Plains were split into dozens of states. Because of its coastal location, the state of Qi had highly developed fishing, handicrafts, and cross-state trade. Its urban population was also among the largest in East Asia at that time. The Shiji and the Zhangguos both left very similar records of daily urban life. These texts clearly describe the people of Linzi as living in wealth and stability, and their everyday leisure activities included playing musical instruments, cockfighting, board games, and taju. Taju was an early common name for Cuju. This written record was formed around the 3rd century BC, and it is the earliest surviving complete textual record in the world of a widely practiced foot-kicking ball game. At the same time, no ancient civilization in Europe or Western Asia left behind the same kind of complete written record. The Cuju ball of the Spring and Autumn and Warring States period was completely different from the standardized, inflated, branded soccers we see on World Cup fields today. At that time, the ju was closer to a handmade solid leather ball. Its outer layer was usually wrapped in animal leather.
The leather surface was cut, joined, and sewn together to form a shape as close to a sphere as possible. Since mature inflation technology did not yet exist, the inside of the ball was usually filled with rice bran, hair, feathers, or other soft materials, so it could keep a certain roundness and weight. A ball like this would not bounce lightly like a modern soccer. After it hit the ground, its rebound was also very limited. It was more like a firm, heavy ball with a rough leather texture. The social environment of the state of Qi during the Warring States period directly helped Cuju spread widely among ordinary people. Street vendors, manual workers, city residents, and noble sons could all take part in this activity. There was no strict social barrier. At that time, the way of making the ball was very simple. Thick animal hide was sewn into a ball-shaped outer shell, and the inside was filled with broken hair and hemp fiber. The whole ball was relatively heavy, with almost no elasticity and no inflatable structure. For folk entertainment, there was no unified standard field. People kicked the ball by themselves in open spaces in streets, alleys, or outside the city. There were also no fixed competition rules. Most of the time, people either juggled the ball alone or passed it around in turns. There was no team versus team format with two sides fighting for goals. At the same time, the army of Qi had already included Cuju in basic physical training. Soldiers ran for long periods, changed direction, and fought for the ball. This could train lower body strength, body coordination, and simple teamwork. In the pre-Qin period, when systematic physical training programs did not yet exist, Cuju served both entertainment and military training. This also became the early form of the more complete military Cuju system of the Han Dynasty. Later, after Qin Shi Huang unified the 6 states, strict social control policies were carried out across the Central Plains. Large-scale folk group entertainment activities were all restricted. Cuju entered a development gap that lasted for several decades. Among the common people, only a small number of lower-class civilians continued simple private ball-kicking games. In the palace and in the military camps, Cuju-related activities were completely cancelled. In the surviving Qin bamboo slips and excavated cultural relics, there are almost no records related to Cuju. This period became the first full pause in the history of Toju's development. After the Western Han Dynasty was established, the court loosened its control over everyday life. All kinds of traditional folk leisure activities began to recover, and Cuju entered the first standardized peak in its history. During the more than 400 years of the Western and Eastern Han dynasties, Cuju developed into 2 independent paths that existed side by side. One was professional competitive Cuju under the military system. The other was performance-style Cuju used for viewing in the palace and among the nobility. These 2 paths each formed their own fields, participants, and rules, and they did not conflict with each other. Military competitive Cuju was the branch that looked the most similar to modern soccer in all of ancient history. The Han government specially built standardized sports fields called Jucheng, or Cuju fields. The whole field was rectangular, with low walls built around it to stop the leather ball from rolling out. At both ends of the field, 6 half-moon-shaped openings were set up symmetrically. These were the ancient goal openings. Each side had 6 players, corresponding to the 6 goal openings on both sides. The winner was decided by the number of balls kicked into the opponent's goal openings. The field also had professional referees. They were required to stay neutral and record the number of goals objectively. The Eastern Han text, known as Jucheng Ming, fully recorded the duties of referees and the basic principles of fair competition on the field. This text is the earliest surviving inscriptional record of competition rules for a ball game in the world. The Han court defined military Cuju as a core part of martial and military training. Border troops across the country, as well as the imperial guards in the capital, regularly organized Cuju matches. High-intensity running and group contests for the ball could train soldiers' endurance, reaction speed, and teamwork. The army also held Cuju competitions between different military camps. Winning teams could receive official rewards such as grain, cloth, and weapons. Cuju officially became a regular military training subject recognized by the Han government. Outside the military competition system, a fashion for watching Cuju also became popular among the Han royal family, regional lords, and high-ranking officials. Noble households would specially keep professional Cuju performers. These performers did not need to take part in high-intensity competitive matches. Their main skill was freestyle ball control. They used their knees, thighs, shoulders, and the tops of their feet to keep the ball in the air for a long time without letting it fall. During royal banquets and annual festival celebrations, these performers would appear on stage to show their skills, and this became a fixed part of entertainment. Ordinary people continued the free and casual style of play from the Warring States period. In city streets and open spaces outside the city, simple Cuju games could take place at any time. The balls still used the solid structure of animal hide filled with hair. There was no major upgrade in ball-making technology. Folk games did not set up goals or referees. Their main purpose was simply leisure and amusement. During the Han dynasties, the supporting theory system of Tuzhu also took shape. The official book catalog, Han Shu Yi Wenzi, clearly recorded 25 specialized books on Tuzhu and placed them under the category of military books. These books recorded the construction dimensions of the Tuzhu field, the complete process of competitive matches, training methods for player movements, and a full set of military Tuzhu training plans. This was the first specialized theoretical work on a ball game in global history. At the same time, no similar specialized sports book from other civilizations in Eurasia has survived. Many Han Dynasty tombs have also unearthed stone reliefs and brick reliefs showing Tuzhu scenes. Stone carvings from archaeological sites in Henan, Shandong, Shanxi, and other places clearly show images of two-person competition, solo freestyle kicking, and women taking part in Tuzhu. These images directly prove that women in the Han Dynasty were already participating in Tuzhu activities. They are the earliest physical evidence in human civilization of women taking part in ball games. In Western civilizations of the same period, there are no similar records. Later, during the nearly 400 years of the Three Kingdoms, Wei, Jin, and Northern and Southern Dynasties period, the Central Plains remained trapped in war and division. Regimes changed frequently, people's lives declined, and the social foundation needed to support standardized Tuzhu competitions completely disappeared. The military competitive Tuzhu system gradually collapsed. Specialized Tuzhu fields, professional Tuzhu performers, and nationwide competitions all disappeared. Only simple solo folk kicking performances and small-scale leisure games survived. Ball-making technology continued the Han Dynasty method of filling a solid leather ball with hair, with no technical innovation. After northern nomadic peoples entered and ruled parts of the Central Plains, they preferred traditional grassland sports, such as mounted archery and wrestling. Their acceptance of Tuzhu was very low. Palace performances of Tuzhu were greatly reduced. During this divided period, the overall development of Tuzhu continued to slow down. Only a few stable areas in Jiangnan preserved a small amount of folk tradition, and no new cultural or rule-based innovations appeared. After the Sui dynasty unified the country, society and daily life slowly returned to stability. Tuzhu activities recovered slightly, but the complete two-goal competitive system was not rebuilt. It mainly continued the solo freestyle Tuzhu style passed down from the Wei, Jin, and Northern and Southern dynasties period. There were no standardized two-team competitive matches. The ball-making craft was still a solid field structure, with no breakthrough. The Sui dynasty lasted only a little more than 30 years. Because its existence was too short, Tuzhu did not experience large-scale public popularity. Very few related historical records and excavated cultural relics have survived. They can only prove that a small number of Tuzhu performances existed during folk festivals. The dynasty that truly allowed Tuzhu to stand firmly in history had to be a peaceful and prosperous age, the Tang dynasty. The Tang dynasty was the turning point of technological innovation in the history of Tuzhu. It was also the first golden age of Tuzhu popularization among the whole population. During the 289 years of the Tang dynasty, ball-making technology underwent a revolutionary change. Craftsmen invented a method that used an animal bladder as the inner ball. They wrapped the inflated bladder with cut and stitched animal hide, then filled the bladder with air to create an elastic, inflatable Tuzhu ball. This complete inflatable ball-making craft appeared at least 400 years earlier than similar inflatable leather balls in Europe. Early Tang inflatable Tuzhu chol balls were first sewn from 8 pieces of animal hide. Later, they were improved to 12 pieces. The weight of the ball was greatly reduced, and its elasticity increased significantly. Players could complete complex movements such as jumping into the air, long-distance passing, and controlling the ball in midair. This completely broke away from the limits of the heavy Han Dynasty solid ball, which had made freestyle skills difficult to perform. In the Tang Dynasty, Tuzhu steadily developed into 2 main forms of play. The first was called Beta. It had no goal and no direct competition between 2 teams. It was purely a contest of personal freestyle ball control skill. It was divided into 10 performance forms, from solo play and 2-person play to 10-person play. Participants could use their shoulders, backs, knees, calves, the tops of their feet, heads, and other body parts to keep the ball steady. They competed in how long they could keep juggling the ball and how difficult their freestyle movements were. One person could perform alone, and several people could also work together in a group freestyle Tuzhu performance. In form, it was similar to modern street freestyle soccer. There was no strict standard for deciding victory or defeat, and viewing value came first. The second form was called juchu. A giant single goal was set up in the middle of the field, with a round opening above it. Players from the two sides stood on opposite sides of the goal and took turns passing the ball. A team scored when it kicked the ball through the opening. The two teams did not collide at close range or fight for the ball during the whole process. Its competitive intensity was far lower than the Han Dynasty two-goal match. This gentler form of competition was better suited for palace banquets and folk temple fair performances. The Tang royal family was deeply involved in Cuju culture. It is said that several emperors in Tang history were loyal fans of Cuju, and some even had very advanced skills. Emperor Taizong of Tang and Emperor Xuanzong of Tang often organized Cuju performances inside the palace. The court specially trained women's Cuju performance teams. Royal women and palace maids practiced baidai tiaoju in daily life. During royal banquets and major traditional festivals across the country, such as the Lantern Festival, the Dragon Boat Festival, and the Mid-Autumn Festival, the palace would hold special women's tiaju performances. Ordinary people also followed the fashion of the court. In the two great capitals, Chang'an and Luoyang, female Cuju performers could be seen performing in marketplaces everywhere. The scale of women's tiaoju in the Tang Dynasty has almost no parallel in ancient global civilization. Among the people, tiaoju performers were invited to perform at shop openings, temple fairs, markets, weddings, funerals, and festival gatherings. Children learned simple juggling skills from a young age. Open spaces in cities were often filled with ordinary people gathering on their own to play baidai for fun. Cuju was fully integrated into the daily folk life of ordinary people. It became a popular leisure activity regardless of age or gender. The Tang Dynasty was also a key period for Cuju's cultural spread beyond China. Through sea and land trade routes, it spread outward. By sea and by land, it moved east to the Korean peninsula and the Japanese islands. Local historical records from both countries, including Jutang Shu and Nihon Shoki, fully record that Tang envoys brought inflatable tsujucho and the Beida style of play with them. The noble classes in Korea and Japan quickly accepted the sport and developed simplified local versions of kicking games. Related folk traditions continued for hundreds of years. To the west, along the Silk Road, Tuji-related entertainment culture and porcelain with tiju patterns flowed into Central Asia. The kicking ball patterns on porcelain indirectly allowed people in the western part of Eurasia to come into contact with the form of kicking a leather ball. This planted cultural traces for later folk ball games in Europe. Here, we should add one objective point. Existing historical materials can only prove that Tang Cuju spread to East Asia and Central Asia. There is no complete evidence proving that this sport directly entered Europe and evolved into modern soccer. The two belong to two independently developing lines of ball games, and we cannot simply define them as a direct inheritance. During the Five Dynasties and Tang Kingdoms period, the Central Plains on China's map once again fell into division. Decades of war caused the complete Cuju cultural system of the Tang Dynasty to shrink for a short time. The craft of making inflatable Cuju balls was not lost, but large palace Cuju competitions and large-scale commercial folk performances were greatly reduced. Only the separatist regimes in Jiangnan preserved basic Cuju activities. There were no new innovations in technique or competition rules. This was a transitional period of stagnation. Fortunately, the Song dynasties became the peak of ancient Cuju development. In terms of public popularity, industry standardization, folk commercialization, and the completeness of social organizations, Tiju reached the highest level in all of ancient Tiju history. In the two capitals of the Northern Song and Southern Song, Bianling and Linan, Tiju formed a complete commercial industry chain. It covered the royal family, officials, urban commoners, street performers, and village children across all social circles. Related folk customs became part of all kinds of traditional festivals throughout the year. The number of surviving historical records, ancient paintings, and excavated cultural relics from this period far exceeds that of all other dynasties. Song dynasty ball-making technology upgraded again on the basis of the Tang dynasty. Craftsmen uniformly used 12 pieces of high-quality tanned animal hide and sewed an inflatable inner bladder inside. The surface of the ball was round and even, and its elasticity and weight control reached the peak of ancient handmade craftsmanship. Specialized handicraft workshops for making sujuto appeared among the people, forming an independent ball-making industry. Ordinary people could directly spend money to buy finished suju balls. The ball was no longer an item only for the nobility, and its popularity among ordinary people increased greatly. The Song dynasty continued the two core forms of play, baida and juchu. The skill system of baida was organized into 10 basic categories of movements, including shoulder lifts, back catches, knee juggling, calf control, and other standardized actions. Folk performers summarized a complete set of standards for judging movements, and the industry formed a unified basis for evaluating skill levels. The rules of the single-goal juchu competition were further refined. They clearly defined the number of players on the field, the order of passing, the way to judge scoring, and field etiquette. Temple fairs and markets regularly held commercial juke competitions. The spectators paid to watch, and winning performers could receive rewards such as prize money, silk, and wine. A fully commercial spectator sports model had taken shape. The most epoch-making development of the Song dynasty was the birth of the first specialized sports industry association in global history. It was called Qiyuan Society, and among the people it was commonly known as Yuan Society. The organization was born in the Southern Song dynasty and set up branches in major cities across the country. All professional Tsuju performers and high-level folk enthusiasts were brought under unified association management. Its functions covered three modern roles at the same time: a soccer association, a professional players' union, and a sports training institution. Qiyuan Society had complete entry requirements, industry rules, a competition system, and a master-apprentice system. If an ordinary person wanted to officially join the society, they had to pass a professional Tsuju skills test. The test included two basic parts, solo baida and two-person cooperative ball control. Anyone who failed 3 tests could not gain membership. Inside the society, strict rules were made. Members were clearly told not to play Tsuju after drinking, not to hold outdoor Tsuju activities in strong wind, rain, or snow, not to argue maliciously during matches, and to respect senior performers. All members had to follow these rules. The society also carried out a master-apprentice inheritance system. Senior performers accepted apprentices and taught them a full set of Tsuju skills. They also compiled an industry text called Tsuju Pu, which recorded all freestyle movements, field etiquette, and the juju competition process. It was the most complete ancient handbook for a ballgame industry. Qiyuan Society held a national Tsuju competition every year, called the Shenyu Main Competition. Members from all over the country could sign up on their own. Before the competition, they paid a small registration fee. The event was divided into 2 competition groups, baida and juchu. Senior performers from the society served as referees on site. After the competition, participants were graded and given official industry certification. Performers who received high-level certification could be invited to perform in major cities across the country and earn a stable income. This national touring competition system was very similar in logic to the modern World Cup system of regional selection followed by a final tournament. A popular saying in the Song dynasty went, "If you never join Yuan Society, you will never be stylish even when you grow old." This directly shows the huge influence of Qiyuan Society among ordinary people. People saw joining a Tsuju society and mastering ball-kicking skills as a fashionable leisure activity. In urban entertainment venues such as Huaxi and Gulan, Tsuju, performance booths were set up all year round. Tsuju was one of the core forms of street entertainment. The royal family's enthusiasm for Tsuju reached its peak. The surviving ancient painting, Emperor Taizu of Song, playing Tsuju fully records a scene in which Emperor Taizu of Song, Zhao Kuangyin, Emperor Taizong of Song, Zhao Guangyi, and court ministers played baida, Tsuju, during their leisure time. Several Song emperors had professional Tsuju skills. Emperor Huizong of Song, Zhao Ji, was extremely obsessed with Tsuju and held regular juchu competitions inside the palace for a long time. Gao Qiu, recorded in Shuihu Zhuan, was based on a real Northern Song Palace Tsuju performer. He gained the appreciation of the royal family through his top-level baida skills and entered the court as a high-ranking official. This historical fact indirectly proves that Tsuju performers in the Song dynasty had considerable opportunities for social advancement. Playing Tiju professionally was no longer just a lower-class street performance trade. Women's Taojiu in the Song dynasty continued the Tang tradition. Independent women's Tiju performance groups appeared in folk city life. Temple fairs and royal garden parties both arranged special women's performances. Children's Tiju became a common custom in both cities and villages. During spring outings and the Double Nines festival, children often went together to open spaces outside the city with Tsuju balls and play for fun. This became one of the iconic folk customs of the Song dynasties. After the Yuan dynasty was established,
nomadic culture became the mainstream taste of the upper class, and the Tiaoju entered a period of continuous decline. The Yuan royal family almost never held large cuju competitions. The government no longer supported the development of the cuju industry. The nationwide branches of Qiyuan society gradually shrank, and only a few small branches remained in several cities in Jiangnan. Among the people, Baida freestyle performances still existed, and street performers still made a living through cuju shows. But large commercial juju competitions were greatly reduced. The military system completely gave up cuju training and no longer included ball kicking in soldiers' physical training. The ball-making craft fully inherited the Song dynasty technology of inflatable cuju balls, and there was no technical decline. During festivals, ordinary people still played simple cuju games, but compared with the Song dynasty, the overall industry standardization and public enthusiasm clearly cooled down. The scale of women's cuju performances also continued to shrink, and it was no longer a mainstream spectator activity. In the early Ming dynasty, the court issued several government orders to restrict folk entertainment activities, and cuju was strictly limited. The government clearly issued a ban forbidding soldiers from taking part in cuju. Soldiers who broke the rule would receive severe punishment. This ban is also quite hard to understand, but rules were rules. Sometimes, in the long river of history, even when an emperor or official made a very absurd decision, ordinary people still had to obey it without question. The cuju tradition that had continued in the army for nearly 2,000 years completely disappeared. The royal court only kept small palace solo cuju performances and no longer held multiplayer competitive matches. The scale of Qiyuan society among the people continued to shrink. The national Shanyu main competition was permanently stopped. Only some cities in Jiangnan kept small folk cuju exchange activities. Baida freestyle skills were still passed down through the master-apprentice system, but the competitive form of juchu gradually moved to the margins. The people who took part were mainly lower-level street performers and ordinary children. The upper nobility basically gave up cuju activities. In the middle and late Ming dynasty, control policies became slightly looser, and cuju performances appeared again at folk temple fairs. But the complete industry standardization system had already fully collapsed. There was no unified industry association and no unified technical judging standard. The number of ball-making workshops greatly decreased. Cuju gradually fell from a mainstream folk custom for the whole population to a small street performance activity. Women's cuju almost completely disappeared, and in historical records and ancient paintings from the same period, images of women playing ball rarely appeared. By the Qing dynasty, the Qing royal family promoted traditional Manchu mounted archery and ice sports and fully weakened traditional ball games from the Central Plains. The court issued bans many times, limiting large-scale folk cuju gatherings and forbidding commercial cuju performances in city markets. Qiyuan society completely disappeared. The 1,000-year master-apprentice inheritance system was broken. Professional texts such as Tuju Pu were widely lost, with only a few rare copies surviving. The full craft of making inflatable cuju balls gradually disappeared. Among the people, only a very small number of elderly people still knew the complete ball-making method, and ordinary people could hardly buy finished cuju balls. In the Qing dynasty, only some cold northern regions preserved a simplified winter form of ice cuju, where people played simple kicking games on frozen rivers. It was a seasonal and small-scale form of entertainment. During the rest of the year, there were almost no cuju-related activities. Inside the palace, cuju viewing activities were completely cancelled. For more than 200 years, the Qing royal family did not hold any cuju competitions. The Tiaoju cultural system that had continued for more than 2,000 years was completely broken in the middle and late Qing dynasty. Its complete competition rules, industry organizations, ball-making craft, and public folk customs all faded from public view. This ancient early form of ball game, born in China, entered a cultural gap in its homeland that lasted nearly 200 years. So when exactly did soccer enter Europe? Here, we have to be more accurate. Modern soccer did not travel from Chinese tuju all the way to Europe and then directly become the World Cup soccer we know today. Chinese saitoju was indeed very early. It had clear records more than 2,000 years ago, and its core action was kicking a ball with the feet. But from a strict historical point of view, there is currently no reliable evidence proving that cuju entered Europe through the Silk Road and directly evolved into modern soccer. Many ancient civilizations developed their own ball games. China had cuju. Japan had ball-kicking activities influenced by tiju. Ancient Greece and ancient Rome also had their own ball games. Human beings like chasing a ball. This does not need to be invented by only one civilization and then spread across the whole world. It is more like a very natural human body game. When there is a ball, people, space, and competition, people begin to run, kick, pass, and fight for it.
In Europe, the early ball games most often mentioned in connection with soccer are the ball games of ancient Greece and ancient Rome. Ancient Greece had games such as episkiros and feininda, and ancient Rome had harpastum. They were not exactly the same as modern soccer. Some were closer to team contests using both hands and feet, and some included tackling, passing, and physical collision. After the Roman Empire expanded, Roman armies, roads, and urban life brought many forms of entertainment to different parts of Europe. They may also have influenced folk ball games in Britain. However, this influence is difficult to draw as a simple straight line. We cannot say that the Roman harpastum was the direct ancestor of English soccer. We also cannot say that there was a clear inheritance relationship between it and Chinese suju. A more careful way to say it is this: Europe had its own ball game traditions very early. These traditions, together with medieval folk soccer, school sports, and city clubs, later formed the complex background before the birth of modern soccer. By the Middle Ages, England had already developed a very rough form of folk soccer, often called mob soccer. The meaning is somewhat close to group soccer or village soccer. This kind of soccer was very different from the soccer we know today. It often had no fixed number of players, no standard field, and no clear match time. Sometimes it was one whole village against another village. Sometimes it was one street against another street. People pushed the ball from one place to another. Along the way, they could run, shove, and fight for the ball, and the scene was extremely chaotic. It was more like a mix of festival carnival, community rivalry, and physical confrontation than the modern sport we see today, with referees, tactics, and formations. Precisely because it was so chaotic, English history saw several orders banning soccer. For example, in 1314, London issued a ban because street soccer had caused disorder. This shows that soccer at that time was already popular enough and troublesome enough to give the authorities a headache. What truly turned soccer into modern soccer was not the spread of one ancient game, but the rule-making process in 19th century Britain. Before the 19th century, different schools, different regions, and different clubs in Britain all had their own ways of playing soccer. Some allowed players to hold the ball and run with it. Some focused more on controlling the ball with the feet. Some allowed strong physical collisions, while others opposed rough actions such as kicking an opponent's shins. The problem was that when different schools and clubs wanted to play against each other, the rules clashed badly. You played by your rules and I fought for the ball by mine. Before the match even began, everyone had to argue for a long time about what counted as a foul. So in the mid-19th century, the British began trying to unify the rules. Local rules such as the Cambridge Rules and the Sheffield Rules appeared one after another, preparing the way for later standardization. FIFA recognized Lindsay as the birthplace of world soccer. The core reason is that suju was the earliest known foot-kicking ball game in the world with complete written records, a standardized field, a set of competition rules, and wide public participation. It was the earliest civilized form related to modern soccer, but there was no direct linear inheritance between the two. Ancient Saituju culture was completely broken in China during the Qing dynasty. While modern soccer was a new competitive system that independently took shape in 19th century Britain, the rules, competitive logic, and tournament systems of the two were clearly different. Han Dynasty two-goal competitive suju was the ancient form that came closest to modern soccer. It had direct competition between two teams, scoring by goals, and professional referees. The two belong to related but separately developed branches. They cannot simply be defined as a direct continuation from ancient times to the present. After talking about the historical timeline of soccer in China, let's talk about the ball itself. The earliest suju ball was not the round, light, and stable modern soccer we know today. The Ju of the Spring and Autumn and Warring States period was closer to a handmade leather ball. Its outer layer was wrapped in animal leather and the inside was filled with rice bran, hair, feathers, or other soft materials, so it could keep a certain shape and weight. A ball like this would not bounce lightly on grass like a modern soccer, and it could not create the high-speed spinning curves we see today. It was heavier and rougher, with the texture of a handmade age, but it already had the most original core of soccer. People used their feet to control a ball and found joy in running, chasing, competing, and showing skill. In other words, the ball of the suju era was not yet a product of the modern sports industry. It was a leather object that combined play, training, and entertainment. Before entering the age of modern soccer, early European soccer also went through a similarly rough stage. Early soccers were usually sewn from leather, with an inflated animal bladder inside. Compared with today's soccers, that kind of ball did not have a stable shape, and its weight was easily affected affected by the weather. When matches were played in the rain, the leather absorbed water and became heavier and heavier. When players headed the ball, they could even feel dizzy from the impact. Early soccers also had obvious laces and seams on the surface because the ball needed an opening to place the inner bladder inside, and then the outer leather had to be tied shut. A ball like this had a very primitive sense of power when kicked, but it was not very friendly to the players.
It was not round enough, not light enough, and not stable enough. The soccer of that era was more like a durable leather tool than a piece of sports equipment designed with precision. So when was the black and white soccer made of hexagon-like patterns, the one we know best, actually born? It was the Adidas Telstar of the 1970 Mexico World Cup. Today, when many people think of a soccer, the image that appears in their mind is a pattern made of black pentagons and white hexagons. This classic image is exactly what Telstar made the whole world remember. Its design was very smart. 12 black pentagons and 20 white hexagons formed a 32-panel shape close to a sphere. More importantly, television broadcasting was changing the way people watched sports at that time. But color television had not yet fully spread. Many viewers were still watching the World Cup on black and white televisions. The black and white Telstar stood out clearly on the screen, allowing viewers to follow the movement of the ball more easily. In other words, Telstar was not only a soccer design, it was also a visual symbol born for the television age. Since then, the black and white soccer has almost become the icon of the very idea of soccer itself. After Telstar, World Cup match balls entered an age in which every tournament had its own visual memory. The Tango of the 1978 Argentina World Cup was another extremely classic design. It no longer depended on the geometric structure of black and white panels. Instead, it drew groups of black patterns on the surface of the ball that looked like triangular curves. When the ball spun, these patterns created a sense of movement. What made Tango impressive was that it kept the soccer easy to recognize while also making the ball look more elegant. For a long time afterward, the official balls of the World Cup and the European Championship could still be seen carrying the influence of the Tango series. The Azteca of the Ixtabay Mexico World Cup represented an important turning point in material technology. It was the first official match ball in World Cup history made entirely from synthetic materials. This change was very important because the biggest problem with leather balls was that they absorbed water, became heavier, and could not keep a stable shape. Synthetic materials allowed the soccer to maintain more stable performance under different weather and field conditions. Azteca's pattern also had a strong connection to the host country. Its design was inspired by patterns from Mexico's Aztec civilization. It combined modern soccer technology with local cultural symbols, and it told later World Cup ball designers that a soccer was not only a piece of sports equipment, it could also become the cultural symbol of a World Cup. The Etrusco Unico of the 1990 Italy World Cup continued this kind of cultural expression. Its pattern was inspired by the ancient Etruscan civilization, and the surface of the ball had decorative elements that looked like lion heads. The Questra of the 1994 United States World Cup turned its theme towards space and technology because that World Cup was held in the United States, and American space culture was very strong. The name Questra itself carried the meaning of quest for the stars, and its pattern also had a sense of stars and the universe. By the 1998 France World Cup, tricolor became the first colorful official match ball in World Cup history. It used the blue, white, and red of the French flag as its visual foundation, and the name tricolor itself means three colors. This change was very important because it marked the moment when World Cup match balls truly entered the age of color television and global commercial visuals. From that point on, World Cup balls were no longer only about black and white contrast. They began to use color, national elements, and brand language more boldly. The Al Rala of the 2022 Qatar World Cup was a key step for soccer's entering the smart technology era. Al Rala means the journey in Arabic. Its pattern was inspired by Qatari culture, architecture, and the colors of the national flag. More importantly, it carried a sensor inside, allowing the ball's data to be sent to the video referee system in real time. One of the most important uses of this technology was to help the semi-automated offside system judge the exact moment when a player touched the ball. The hardest part of judging offside is not only seeing where the attacking player is standing, it is also knowing exactly when the passer touches the ball. The human eye has difficulty capturing that instant with precision during a high-speed match, but the sensor inside the ball can send a large amount of data every second, helping the system judge the point of contact more accurately. By this 2026 World Cup, the official match ball Trianda has pushed this trend even further. The name Trianda is very interesting. Tri refers to the three host countries,
the United States, Canada, and Mexico. Onda means wave, rhythm, or atmosphere in Spanish and Portuguese, so the name can be understood as the wave created together by 3 countries. Its visual design also centers on the 3 host countries, using red, blue, and green elements to echo Canada, the United States, and Mexico. For a World Cup jointly hosted by 3 countries, this ball itself is like a small cultural map, bringing together the 3 host identities of the North American continent on one ball. The most important thing to talk about with Trianda is that it continues and upgrades connected ball technology. Inside the ball, there is a high-frequency motion sensor that can capture the ball's movement information at a frequency of 500 Hz and send the data to the VAR system in real time. This technology can help referees judge touches, movement, passing moments, and details related to offside. In other words, today's World Cup soccer is no longer a quiet ball. It is like a precise instrument. On the outside, it still looks like a round ball with patterns, colors, and a brand logo, but on the inside, it holds data, chips, and a real-time communication system. So the World Cup field today is already very different from the past. In the old days, when a player fell to the ground, held his leg, and looked as if he had just gone through a major life disaster, the camera might cut away, and the audience might not really be able to see what had happened. But now, things are different. VAR, semi-automated offside technology, sensors inside the ball, and high-speed cameras put many details right in front of everyone. Were you really kicked, or did you simply roll a few extra times with the momentum? Were you truly in pain, or did you just take a quick acting class on the grass? Very often, technology is calmer than the audience. Of course, soccer can never fully become a sport judged by machines. Its most fascinating parts are still found in the human body, human judgment, human emotion, and mistakes made in a single instant. Technology can tell us whether the ball has gone out of play. It can help judge offside. It can also place one touch of the ball into an extremely precise slice of time, but it cannot carry the pressure for a player before a penalty kick. It also cannot explain to fans why, at the moment a ball rolls into the goal, an entire city can burst into sound at the same time. Now, let's bring our attention back to the World Cup happening right now. From ancient Chinese kuju to today's World Cup soccer with chips inside, this ball has rolled through a very, very long history. But in the end, the reason human beings chase it has never really changed. What we are chasing is not the ball itself, but the suspense, speed, failure, victory, and that feeling of holding our breath at the same moment with countless strangers. So in this World Cup, which team is your favorite?
If you enjoyed today's episode, feel free to give the show a like, subscribe, and share it with someone you think would enjoy it too. Thank you for spending this time with me. I will see you in the next episode.